It's time for.
That's it.
She was trying to find. Thank you. I just did. Sorry, but
Good evening. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and please, you have to remain standing for clarification. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the schedule of the meetings of the Township Council, established and adopted by the Township Council, which schedule designates the time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We're using an electronic amplifying and recording device in order to obtain a clear and audible record. We request all those wishing to speak be recognized and state your name and address directly to the microphone. The recording device will be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office for the preparation of minutes and shall be the official record of the Township Council meetings. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Mr. Mignon.
Here.
Mrs. Albright Troxel. Here. Mrs. Grace Love.
Here.
Mr. Nash.
Here.
Mrs. Walters. Here. Mrs. Winters. Here. Mr. Mercado.
Present.
Mr. Carlemere.
Here.
Mr. Curtis.
Here.
Chief Harkins.
Here.
Mr. McGill.
Here. Before we go to the public portion, we have an estimate for professional architectural engineering services for the Gloucester Township park batting structure that will be located at the Gloucester Township Community Park. This will require a straw poll. Is there anything you want to add to that, Mr. Curtis?
No, other than the fact that initially, as we've mentioned before in the past, we were going to locate this at Ariel, wanting to expand it and also have some space for office in that building. The decision was made to move it to Gloucester Township Community Park. That way, you also get more use by all buildings.
Okay. The Pettit Group is our recreation engineer, so that's so we just require a straw poll for this. Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Mignon.
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel.
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love.
Yes.
Mr. Nash.
Yes.
Mrs. Walters.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters.
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes. Next is our public portion. This is for agenda items only. Anyone addressing council may speak one time. Once all those wishing to address council have had their turns, they may address council a second time. Only for that as to what was said earlier, not repeating earlier statements. There's 15 minutes allocated for the public portion. Each speaker is entitled to 3 minutes. Would anyone like to speak during the first public portion? Yes. Ms. Coyne.
Denise Coyne, Choose Landing. Can I give one of these packets to everybody?
Is this regarding the agenda?
Yes.
I guess yes.
Wasn't it? Okay, resolution 24:06-195 involves the sale of 351 Landing Road to Fratelli Real Estate Holdings, LLC. And I have several concerns about that. One, the property is misrepresented as vacant on the resolutions. And, it's not vacant property. Mountain Construction's been using it for many, many years to park their trucks and equipment on. And there's also a building on the property which the tax assessor has appraised for $321,600. So the agendas that sent this to public auction all said that it was vacant property. Apparently it's not. Also, the principal agent, who's the winning bidder and only bidder on the property, Fratelli Real Estate Holdings, the principal agent, shares a name with an individual mentioned in the report that I just handed everybody, which is the New Jersey Commission of Investigation Report on Industrious Subversion, Circumvention of Oversight in Solid Waste and Recycling in New Jersey. And according to that report, the bidder's father pled guilty to corruption and criminal charges linked to organized crime's influence in the waste hauling industry. And his father was permanently barred from operating in New York and came to New Jersey and started operating in New Jersey in the solid waste industry and assumed control of Central Jersey Waste and Recycling. So I don't know if anybody's aware of that or not, but that's rather concerning. And then the property itself, 351 Landing Road, is public property, and it's environmentally sensitive property. It's right on the Timber Creek, and I believe that there's an active eagle's nest within, like, I don't know, quarter mile, half a mile of the property. So I think it's very important to make sure whoever gets a hold of this land is going to be a responsible steward of the property and somebody who's going to be willing to follow the DEP rules and regulations. So my questions regarding this resolution are, why was the property misrepresented as being vacant when it's not? And were you aware of this report from the New Jersey Commission of Investigation and the relationship to the bidder? And given the environmentally sensitive nature of the land and the presence of the active eagle's nest nearby, what steps will you take to ensure the protection of the property? And
Ms. Corn, your time's up. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Mr. Carson, anything you want to respond regarding vacant property? Mount was the former tenant of that particular property, correct?
Mount, yes, Mount was, and there were two appraisals done on the property. Those appraisals contained not only the ground, but also the structures on the ground.
Okay, all right. In regards to whose father is, I was not aware of that. Thank you very much for providing that information. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Yes, Ms. Hendry.
Good evening, Dina Hendry, Summerdale.
Good evening.
When land goes up for sale, what is the process to ensure that it is recorded correctly? Because if construction cars are used, then therefore it's not vacant. To me, vacant means like not used, like abandoned. So obviously it's not vacant.
Mr. Carlman?
So it is vacant land. I don't, the prior tenant there was Mount Construction,
Yes.
parking the trucks there. They vacated the property. So the property is up for sale as vacant land. Whoever buys it, it's the use that they put to it, but it's vacant. There's no occupancy on that property.
Okay, and with regards to preserving the bald eagles, did anybody know that there was bald eagles there?
We've had a resident that has contacted us over the years regarding bald eagles. So I don't know if there is a reserve there or Mr. Cars.
So when a resident contacts you,
So, excuse me.
oh, I'm sorry, I thought he was gathering his thoughts.
No, other than the DEP itself overseeing something like that, the township would not be.
But is it on township land?
The what?
The bald eagles?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Before anybody votes yes or no, I would kindly suggest that we take a look at it, being that the bald eagle is our animal for the country and it is endangered and it is protected. It is something that's serious. So I would kindly suggest that we kindly put a pin in this before voting to ensure that our national treasure is protected. Thank you.
So you should,
Thank you.
let me
What?
just give one response. You should keep in mind that the buyer in the bid process, successful bidder, has a due diligence period to do their own evaluations and inspections. So if that is the case, or anything else that proves that to them or provides to them a negative, they can terminate their agreement under their due diligence period. So that's something that's going to be explored during the contract. I'm not saying that you have to not approve it, you can make your decision, but the buyer is still going through its due diligence period.
Thank you, Mr. Carmen. Is there anyone else? Mr. Polidoro?
Good evening, Council. Ray Polidor from the Historic Village of Ariel.
Good evening.
Not knowing quite as much as those that have researched this even more, it would be my guess that there are members on this council that have researched it even less than I have. I believe this may be an instance. Shaking your head, did you know something I didn't? Did you ask them?
Mr. Polidoro, just make your statement. Sarcasm is not
Well,
needed.
you're shaking your head while I'm talking. I wouldn't do that to you. I've never done that to you.
Mr. Polidoro, please continue.
It wouldn't be a bad idea, maybe, to table this, do a little more research. Our solicitor seems to have some knowledge and good knowledge to this. He seems to be advising on that, but maybe the rest of council, maybe one or two of you could make a motion to table this. Research it a little more, if not for the Eagles, for the definition of vacant and the intentions of where this is going. It's not a bad idea to table something, to do a little more research. It is your due diligence and hard work that gives you the best, wisest, and most educated vote that you can do. The question I would ask is time of the essence? It doesn't seem so. That you couldn't table this, have council, the full council that's getting ready to vote on this, just take a look at it. See if there's something in there that does raise concerns. Have a question, because time is not of the essence. It's a land sale. Land sales get delayed all the time. Titles, various things that go about can wait. If you bought a house, you know that things don't always happen on time. It's just not a bad idea. One of you, two of you, make a motion, table it, talk about it amongst each other. Find out from whatever resources that you can. Make the best educated choice that you can, rather than voting with either a quarter, a half, 3/4 of information. Get the full information on intentions, direction, definition of vacancy, especially our American Eagle, American Bald Eagle. Please consider that. One of you, two of you, maybe think that this can wait for another day. It has no amount of urgency. That's all I'm asking. Be a good representative, because you represent us all equally. He heads the meeting and a vice chair, but you all have an equal vote. I'd ask you to consider tabling it, take a look, and make the best and smartest choice for not only the people of Gloucester Township, but for a great American symbol. Thank you.
Can I give just a
Thank you.
response?
Can I ask a question? Could you please reiterate what you just said previously about the
So-
process, because
So basically, the bid process, one of the aspects of the bid process is once a successful bidder, as we have here, gets a bid that's approved and accepted, the advertising notice that the governing body has an obligation to approve that or reject that bidder for some reason, if it's not satisfied with the process or the bid price. So all you're doing here is authorizing the acceptance of the $1.6 million for the vacant land. Now, the bid process and successful bidder contract gives the successful bidder a due diligence period to go in and inspect. For any reason that they determine, whether it's environmental or whatever, they can make a determination that it's a negative to their purchase. So all you're doing is authorizing and approving the $1.6 million bid and authorizing the contract, and it gives the buyer his due diligence period. If this is an issue, it's going to come up with the buyer and probably be given notice, since it's been presented to council, that this is a question, and they'll do their due diligence and make their inspections.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
So that's not our responsibility.
But all you're doing is authorizing the acceptance of the $1.6 million and authorizing the contract.
And whoever buys it will have.
That's correct, and they have the right during that period to make a determination to reject it if they find reason.
Thank you, Mr. Conrad. Yes.
East Point, Choose Landing. As far as only voting to authorize the $1.6 million bid, this went out to bid 2 other times, and the minimum bid was $2,035,000. And the bid was decreased to $1,600,000. So that's something everybody should keep in mind before you vote. And I'm not sure if there's some emergency to where we have to sell this property for $1.6 million. Seems to me we could sell it for a lot more if we didn't have to sell it right away. The other thing is, as far as the bidder doing his due diligence to make sure that, it's property that he really wants, I think the township should do their due diligence to make sure it's property that should really be sold to this bidder. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak that has not spoken yet? Ms. Hendry. Ms. Hendry will be our last speaker.
Good evening, Dina Hendry, Summerdale. From my understanding, there was construction vehicles there today from that company. So how is it vacant if there's construction vehicles today on that land?
Scores.
They're permitted to go on that site and to look at the property.
No, the company that you said had vacated has gone, Mount Laurel.
Now,
I believe Mount is still vacating. They had probably close to 150 vehicles on that site. So
it's not vacant yet. It's in the process of being vacant.
I believe that right now it is in the process of being vacant.
So then therefore, it's not completely true that it's vacant because it's occupied. Somebody has given notice that they're leaving. So they are still responsible for such things. It's not vacant. It's still occupied. Correct?
I guess the way you're defining it, but for the bidder that bid, they bid on that parcel of property as a vacant property land. It'll be vacant when they take possession of it.
Okay. And does the township owe any due diligence to ensure that there are national treasures such as the bald eagle that reside in our township?
There was property adjacent to the not Nike base and Jem's landfill of a thing called Swamp Pink. Mr. Burns, you know about that. And there was developers over time that tried to develop near that area, but because of Swamp Pink, which is an endangered plant, they were not able to move forward with it. So yes, we recognize when there's environmental issues.
Awesome. And then when the company does their due diligence, is there like a second pair of eyes to ensure that what they see is what is actually true? Like what if they say, no, everything is hunky-dory, and you're like, no, I heard that there was a bald eagle there. So is there like a counter, like double signatures, double set of eyes, double everything to ensure that what it is what it truly is?
You may answer that, Mr. Carver.
I'm sure.
DEP,
Yes, I'm sure.
I'm sure someone will call DEP if they haven't already, which they have, but.
Correct, and that knowledge is now being presented to the governing body. That means it's going to be from this governing body to the potential buyer as they do their inspection. That's an area that's going to be looked in perhaps by the township as well as the buyer to make a determination before they go forward that and spend dollars on their inspections. They're going to make sure there's not a national issue that would prevent it.
Okay. And then do we really need this amount of money right now? Like, can we all vote no? So therefore we don't capitalize on this money. So therefore we can make sure the bald eagles are good.
So let me respond.
Thank you for your.
My pleasure.
I respond to one thing. Ms. Hendry,
You can,
real quick.
you can.
So I'm no ornithologist. I am into bird photography, which I'm admitting this publicly. Bald eagles are not endangered as of 2000, just so you know.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So let me make one comment though, because there was an allegation before that there were two, this was the third bid, the prior bids were higher bids. That's correct. We went out this for 3 separate times. The first 2 times when the price was higher, no one registered, no one was present on the bid process. Am I right, Mr. Cardis?
You are correct.
Right. So when we did a reassessment of it and came up with a more realistic value from an appraisal point of view, we put it back out for bid again. That's when we had the successful bidder. Now, the only thing you're doing here is meeting the requirement of the bid notice where we told the successful bidder, if you're a successful bidder, the council within 60 days or thereafter will do a resolution authorizing the contract. That means you're going to set forth the 4 corners or perimeters of this legal aspect of the contract, giving them the right to do their inspections and due diligence for their period to determine if there's any deficiencies.
Thank you.
Council President, I have
Mayor,
one question.
goes-
Mr. President, how long approximately has this property been on the market?
Well, we were,
Beginning of the year.
we were out twice.
Yeah.
This was the 3rd bid process.
Thank you.
Okay, waive the reading, accept the minutes of the workshop meeting, May 13, 2024, and council meeting, May 13, 2024, and May 29, 2024. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
I abstain on the May 13th meeting and workshop. I had a work meeting, and May 29th, yes. Bid reports. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Next is ordinance, second reading, public hearing. Mr. Mignon, you had reached out to me before the beginning of the meeting regarding ordinance
Yeah.
0-24-13.
I'd like to make a motion to remove this ordinance from tonight.
So we're gonna table that, your motion to table?
Yep.
Uh,
Motion to table.
you need additional information on that?
Additional housekeeping, yep, needs to be done.
Matt, is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes to table. Next is ordinance 0-24-14. Second reading, there will be a public hearing. Bond ordinance authorizing the completion of emergency repairs for the sewer utility system in and for the township of Gloucester, county of Camden, New Jersey, appropriating the sum of $300,000. Therefore authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes of the township of Gloucester, county of Camden, New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount of up to $300,000, making certain determination and covenants and authorizing certain related actions in connection with the foregoing. This is for various improvements and repairs to the township sewer utility system. They're not limited to force main and bypass pump improvements, repairs at Orr Road Pump Station and culvert improvements, and repairs at the Glen Oaks Pump Station. We'll now open up the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this matter? Ms. Coyne. The time is unlimited during the hearing for an ordinance, but you're limited to 5 minutes at each time.
Denise Coyne, Shoes Landing. At the last meeting, the first reading of this ordinance, I asked if the township was going to borrow money to complete this, and Mr. Carter said it would be up to council. Has council decided as to whether or not you're going to borrow money for this $300,000?
We have not had that discussion. No.
When will that discussion occur?
Ms. Cars?
You can make that decision anywhere up until the point in time that you adopt the 2025 budget.
Which is when?
Next spring.
Probably April, May, maybe even June of next year.
So if the council decides to borrow this money, does it come back in front of the public at a council meeting again?
I believe it would, yeah.
You believe so, or it would?
I believe it would.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes, next is ordinance of first reading, introduction. There will be a public hearing at the second reading. Ordinance 0-24-15, bond ordinance authorizing the completion of various park improvements in the township of Gloucester, county of Camden, New Jersey, appropriating the sum of $69,246. Therefore, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes of the township of Gloucester, county of Camden, New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount of up to $69,246, making certain determinations and covenants and authorizing certain related actions in connections with the foregoing. This is for completion of various park improvements for the township, but not limited to the improvements to Laurel Hills and Woods Edge playgrounds. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yep.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Next, we have our consent agenda. Any council member would like to have any item removed, please speak up.
Yes.
No.
No.
You're gonna abstain later on. Not now. Okay. Don't worry, we'll get it. I'm asking for resolution 194 to pull that off, to amend the consent agenda. The 194,
Yes.
194. Can I have a motion to amend the consent agenda and take out 194?
I'll make a motion to, amend.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, on the question to amend the consent agenda, removing 194 and accept all the others. Is there a motion?
There's a motion.
Is there a second? Thank you. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
So I'm saying for just.
Yes to everything when
Yes
you
to
get the bill
everything.
list. Oh, well, whatever you want. On the bill list, if
On
you
the
need to
bill
abstain,
list.
you would indicate the check number.
So I'm stating on the bill list, 24-02009 and, consent to the rest.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes, Dahl.
Resolution 234, resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester accepting the 2023 audit of the Township of Gloucester.
We received the completed audit. There were no findings to that. Mr. Cardis, is there anything you want to add to that?
I think the office and the CFO did an excellent job.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Good job. Have a motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
There's a second?
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Mr. Mercado?
Yes. We have 3 GTE Gov access emails. Our first email is from David Leader at 1105 Huntington Avenue, Glendora, New Jersey. I was reading the book, The History of Gloucester Township, and I just read that the clerk records minutes from the council meetings. I can't find the minutes on the website. Could you please provide a pointer to how I can read those minutes? Dave Leader, and he provided his phone number. Mr. Leader, he can access, the clerk responded to him via email on June 4th. He can access the adopted council meetings through the township website following the pathway of visiting the Gloucester Township site. On the township homepage, scroll down to the municipal clerk box. It has a picture of the township building. Once on the clerk's page, you can scroll down, you will see council meeting minutes by year. You can also click below the link to be taken straight to the page on the website, which is the municipal clerk's link. And she provided additional information if you had any questions to contact. Thank you, Nancy, for that. Yes.
Has the school ever had any problems there that they have filed complaints about?
I haven't got to that yet.
Traffic?
I haven't got to that yet. That's,
Oh,
you jumped the gun. Here we go, you jumped the gun. All right. Our next one's from David Leader at 1105 Huntington Avenue. Does Gloucester Township have signs that state, please don't drive like your kids. Please drive like your kids live here. No, the municipality does not have it. There's a specific program in Washington Township. However, those signs are sold privately online. The only signs that's recommended for traffic control purposes for municipality are those that are approved by the New Jersey Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, standard highway signs. Having additional message signs can cause confusing and clutter for drivers to process while they're driving and are not generally recommended. There is no scientific study that the police department is aware of that these type of signs are effective in speed or traffic control. His next question or statement. 1, should we put up on Station Avenue at the Glendora Elementary School? A lot of traffic there is coming off roads with higher speed limits, and nobody does 25 miles per hour, even at the school. The Gloucester Township Police Traffic Safety Unit has been notified of the complaint. They'll begin a traffic complaint process. The information has been forwarded to them. They will contact Mr. Leader for specific information. Can another one should be put on High Street as far as regarding the signs. The businesses on the Black Horse Pike use High Street with their trucks and exceed the speed limit. The Gloucester Township Police Traffic Safety Unit has been notified of Mr. Leader's complaint, and they'll begin a traffic complaint process. His information has been forwarded to them. They will contact him for specific information. And lastly, could the police patrol these areas for speeders more? The traffic safety unit has been notified of the complaint. They'll begin a traffic complaint process, and their information has been forwarded to them, and they will contact Mr. Leader regarding that. Our last e-gov is a lengthy one from Fred Hill, 25 Stephen Drive, Glendora, New Jersey. Is council aware that the Gloucester Township Ecological Center, known to council as our bulldozed 63-acre island that drains 100% of all its storm rainwater directly into Timber Creek via their masonry head walls and culverts that lead directly to are built illegally extending into Timber Creek state property, has covered their entire 63-acre island. Again, to be clear, the Gloucester Township Ecological Center is located on what is essentially an island surrounded by Timber Creek, with the biggest concentration of tons and tons of oil-soaked leaves and very toxic grass clippings in our state, that the Gloucester Township 2023 Winter Community Newsletter says was dumped there by the 24 towns and local commercial contractors to sit on our Gloucester Township Ecological Center island in piles being turned and mixed every 2 weeks so the rain can wash all the toxins from the huge piles of oil-soaked leaves and highly toxic grass clippings directly into Timber Creek in violation of the law. So on June 6th, the Gloucester Township Public Works Supervisor, Mr. Bucciaroni, conducted an inspection along with DEP, this approved compost facility with a Canham County hazmat representative. Their inspection was conducted due to a complaint to the DEP by Mr. Hill. No violations were found, and we're expecting a copy of the official report from the Canham County hazmat unit. Next question. Why would you post in your recent summer Gloucester Township community newsletter pics of very, very, very toxic grass clippings in the street next to the curb as part of an article saying how very, very, very toxic grass clippings now are as a result of all the lawn treatments, fertilizers, and sprays used nowadays, and how it's I'm reading as it's written, law grass clippings must not be left in the street as it's against the law to allow, cause, or direct any toxic grass clippings to be allowed to enter our storm drain waterways, and still think you can get away with running a business called the Gloucester Township Ecological Center that washes all the oil and toxins into the Timber Creek from the 24 local towns and public commercial contractors, oil-soaked leaves, and very highly toxic grass clippings the Gloucester Township Ecological Center allows to be dumped in our town on an island that 100% of the island's rainwater runs into Timber Creek. We're not sure about the basis of this complaint. The photo in that newsletter was showing placing grass clippings on a curb and saying that it's illegal there when it's placed on the curb. When will the winner of the 2017 Mayor's Green Sustainability Award Gloucester Data Center, the mayor talks about in a GT Facebook page post and several GT YouTube videos, be finished? And what stage is it presently? That was never built. It's not moving forward. Do you have anything to add to that? And the 63-acre solar panel farm that the mayor says in his videos and posts from 2017 that will surround the Gloucester Township Data Center. Will that be the 68-acre GTNUA Gloucester Township Ecological Center that currently surrounds the proposed Gloucester Data Center listed on the GT website? And is that the only 63-acre lot I see on the tax map that surrounds where the Gloucester Township Data Center is to be built at 400 Glen Drive? The data center was not built. Are the Gloucester Township Ecological Center and GTMUA the same entity? We do no longer have a MUA. It is a utility. The MUA was dissolved in 2023. Will the Gloucester Township Ecological Land be included in the sale of the GTMUA as they are the same physical address? If so, what becomes of the Gloucester Township Ecological Center? None of the buildings, the grounds, or the compost facility were included in the potential sale of the sewer utility. Will you please read out loud in the next public meeting, post my open letter link PDF the mayor requested I emailed to him, that again, in an open letter to council and mayor about these above issues with the Gloucester Township Ecological Center. This is 25 pages worth. If anyone wants a copy, we will provide that. We'll email it, but I'm not going to read 25 pages of documents. The council know that the reason oil-soaked leaves and very toxic grass clippings are usually sent by most towns to landfills or to trash to steam incinerators, not to run off in New Jersey waterways, because that is illegal. Township is aware and we're complying with all DEP regulations. In any part of the mayor or council's actions to attempt to sell the GTMUA, did they reveal the Gloucester Township Ecological Center GTMUA site has a bald eagle's nest on its property since 2015, or that its immediate state and federally protected active Timber Creek bald eagle nest and foraging areas that supports the Timber Creek GTMUA bald eagle's nest? Township's not selling, the GTMUA has been dissolved into a utility. The physical property that remains with the township, we propose selling the system, not the property that I stated earlier. The township does not monitor the bald eagle population at Timber Creek. It is clear in the mayor's Gloucester Township Ecological Center video he posted on the GT website, Facebook page, and YouTube channel a few months ago, vividly describing the Gloucester Township Ecological Center in detail, that he's very involved with its operation. Are there any concerns with him trying to sell the Gloucester Township Ecological Center and GTMU to his real boss, as his real job is chairman of governmental relations for the company trying to buy our Gloucester Township Ecological Center, GTMUA, American Water Company? He has recused himself from any negotiations. Mr. Hill does not have his correct job description at his employer. How much do you think it will cost the GT taxpayers to fully clean up and remediate all the pollution the Gloucester Township Ecological Center, GTMUA, has washed directly into the Timber Creek? There are no violations involving the DEP-approved compost site in Timber Creek. And when it's fully safe and remediated, can you turn into a Green Acres facility a safe distance from the eagle's nest, but so the public can see and enjoy, that can tie into the Blackwood bike path? There are no plans to convert the DEP-approved compost site into a Green Acres facility. Are the houses along 4th Street in Glendora near the Gabriel Davies Taverns zoned to have crushed stone driveways where the loose stones end up all over the street and sidewalk? Or must all those residence driveways be concrete like most of the driveways in that area? And are trucks and trailers and cars supposed to be regularly parked on the grass at these properties? The township will review with the township engineer, and we'll also have code enforcement. If you can provide us the specific address, code enforcement will review any complaints you have. Well, that's the end of our GTE Gov Access email. We'll now go to our public portion. The public portion is for 30 minutes. The public can speak on any item that they want to address council. There is 5 minutes for each speaker. The speaker can speak twice. Once again, it's 30 minutes. Mr. Polidoro.
Good evening again, Council. Ray from the Historic Village of Ariel. So this evening you passed ordinance 24-14 that you may borrow money, it may come up again. It looks like around $300,000 for sewage repairs. When the early discussions were going on about you guys dissolving the MUA, we all understood, as you did, it was $6 million that you called surplus that we refer to more so in money reserved for such items. So now that you have confiscated that $6 million, spent about half of it, it should be that you have somewhere in the neighborhood of, if not 3 million, slightly under 3 million of that reserve money that the MUA originally had held for such repairs. My question, I guess, goes in just the realm of common sense. So you got cash in your pocket and you got it repaired, it's got to get done, and you're going to go take it to and put on a credit card, our credit card, basically. Can you tell me what the current rate is when you bond, what the percentage rate is on the current bonds?
Mr. Carter, is that something you can answer?
We have not permanently financed in some time now. I would say probably 3-4 years. So my knowledge of what the market is on permanent financing, I would say somewhere around 3.5%, maybe 4% at the high side. I don't think you'd see much at 3%.
Because I know that in the past, you know, I've given your kudos to when you have refinanced bonds at a lower rate, which saved us all money. Appreciate that. What is the approximate commission that a broker would make when you borrow that kind of money? Is there a percentage or just a nut that they get when you borrow $300,000 they get 10% cut? What's the cut that your broker gets for that kind of bond?
When you say the broker,
Whoever it is that brokers your bonds.
so what if it were 300,000? The way I would borrow that money would be through an issuance of a note, and that might be a couple $100. It would not be much. If you're talking about a permanent financing, which would be in the millions, could be an issuance up to $25 million, 20 million, 15 million. There are various agencies that receive funds from that, bond counsel, for example, financial.
Bond counsel, I was doing my best not to name any names. You know what I'm getting at.
Auditor would get money.
Would you say-
have advertising fees.
A lot of people make money.
There's a whole
When we borrow.
list in the back. When you do a permanent financing, there's a book. Not to cut your time, there's a book on that financing that lists all the ordinances that are part of that permanent financing. There's a sheet in the back that lists all of the professionals and what amount of money they received from the issuance.
Okay. And again, it just doesn't seem to make any sense. You walking around with a pocket of cash and you're going to swipe our credit card again. And not only do we pay an interest rate on it, but a lot of people get paid when you got that money right there in your pocket that you that you procured.
Council just said they had not made the decision.
But that was reserved money for that. You already got the cash. Why even consider bumming money? But let me stop there because there's something more important that I need to address. In a town that's not used to having much in the way of what's going on in a lot of cities, towns, and states across our country, Gloucester Township has never, ever really had any issues with a lot of things that are going on, not only in our country, different states in the world. Gloucester Township, I must say, is a nice place to live. Expensive place, but it's a nice place to live. We don't deal with that. On a really, really good event, Gloucester Township Day, for the second consecutive year, some young people came here and some that were here and misbehaved in a fashion that is just what is becoming a trend. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the Gloucester Township Police Department, the chief and everyone up and down who foresees these things, is prepared for these things, and is ready when these young people are coming into our town. And let's be honest, and I don't care who I offend, I never really did. It was a warm day for hoodies and masks. And if you maintain to want to come into our town and create problem, you don't want to be identified. I was thinking of what we could do that would not violate their liberties and their constitutional rights. We have cameras in our park. I don't know if it's feasible where our police officers at both ends, where the trees and the fences are, could do this. Just a thought, maybe for a future ordinance. Upon them arriving at our location, they want to be masked and hoodied up so that they're not on camera from the second they arrive at the park. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to think about something in the realm of take your hoodie off, take your mask off, 10 seconds, let us get a quick look at you, and you're going to put it back on anyway. Otherwise, do we have a violation of the constitutional right, privacy, and what have you? But just the mindset that they've had to expose their face upon arriving at our park, if there's a way to do something like that, to get into their minds that maybe that they're up to no good, or maybe something happened that created this problem. But we've never had these problems, and for the second consecutive year, our police department was there, and we handled it. But most admirable about all of that is that our township is not doing like a lot of other towns. There's consequences, and our police department is going after them and continuing to go after them, so that these young people know, or whomever, because apparently one was a grown adult who decided to do something stupid, that we're still coming for you, and there's going to be a price to pay for that. So my hat's off to our township, and extremely tip of the hat to the chief and his police department for a job well done, in hopes that we can deter this from happening in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Polidoro. Mr. Burns?
Good evening, Council. Brian Burns from Saltwood Drive in Ariel.
Good evening.
Good evening. Real quick on an agenda item, that piece of ground that was approved for sale, I wonder what that is currently zoned.
I don't know. I do not have
We can find that out for you.
I mean, I could look on the map.
Yeah.
So the main question this evening was, I reached out to the Murrays. Last time I was always before you. I brought up the closing date for the Murray and Hayes properties, and no one really knew. And I reached out to the Murray family today, and they're waiting for a date from the title agency. And Mr. Carlin, you will be involved with that process?
Correct, and we're shooting for the end of this month on Hayes. Murray, Green Acres is still investigating.
Okay, is there one other property? The representative for Green Acres said there's 3 properties in Gloucester Township.
Didn't understand your question.
There's Murray, Hayes, and there's one other property?
Right now, we're dealing with Murray and Hayes. Murray had, I think, 2 tracks.
Okay,
Hayes is one.
okay. So, I wanted kudos to you guys, because the Riseland Bridge had a lot of hurdles to get over, and I think that was like 5 or 6 years. So this is about 2 years, which, as the bureaucracy goes and working with the state and everything that has to be done with, it's pretty good. And I wanted to plant a seed this evening. It's like I feel like I feel guilty for coming up and going, can we get one more thing? Of course, it would take money, but I want to plant the seed, and, I can do light work because it would cost money, but how about like the Gloucester Township Nature Center, or Environmental Study Center? What an asset that would be to the community and to our school system. We're within the township itself, residents and students would have the opportunity to explore and experience nature and really get into this beautiful natural resource that's being preserved. So obviously, I would like feedback if you're willing to say anything, but, I just wanted to plant that seed this evening, because there are grants. There's grants available. There's money that would not be taxpayer money to do something like this. It would be one heck of an asset, particularly when you can say there's a Superfund site, one of the most toxic sites, in New Jersey, maybe the country, and yet here we are across the street, making amends for things that we shouldn't have done in the past, but so. Feel free to comment. If you just say, thank you, Mr. Burns, that's fine. But I wanted to plant the seed this evening. And, if somebody came to you and said, here's the money to do it, it'd be-
We had one years ago.
yeah,
I was on the Blackwood Lake Committee and we got the fish ladder. And then we cleaned it up all over that section where the lake is. And then across the road, there's a building there. And we started to clean up that building to make it an educational nature center for the classes to come to. And I don't know if it was ever finished. I was no longer on council, so I don't know whatever happened to it, but it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I agree.
well, thank you for your comment.
Brian, is there any location that you have in mind?
It would, right now, it probably wouldn't work because you would have to be involved with the easement for the electric company. They have that easement that runs off of Hickstown Road. Obviously there's Little Mill Road, which could take residents down in between, to Trump Golf Course and the properties that are being reserved. That would be an access area. And there is an area down there that unfortunately was torn up with ATVs where there is no existing vegetation. So you wouldn't have to disturb a lot of the area at all. But it's one of those things that if you're sold on the idea, that's the first step. And then we can investigate what would be the best access. But you already have that paper Little Mill Road already there. So that would be a possible, most logical, easiest place for access.
Thank you.
Right, thank you, and I do appreciate, following through with, the Murray and the Hayeses, and to me, it's a big deal. For the township, it should be a big deal. And it should be on the revisited master plan. I went through that the other day, and there was no mention of that. It specifically talks about preserving, sensitive environmental areas, stream corridors, and I was kind of surprised that the Rosalind Bridge property, which is already preserved, is not on there. And the upcoming properties are not on there. And that would certainly be an asset to, the review has not been approved yet. It's open for public comment tomorrow night. But that's certainly something that's going to be a feather in the cap to Gloucester Township and should be on that revised, revisited master plan before it gets approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Smithman.
Hello, good evening, Council. My name is Shaughnessy Smithman. I live in the SDK Millbridge Gardens apartment complex on Millbrook Court, written 1341, Blackwood Clementon Road, apartment 341, Clementon, New Jersey, 08021-5673. It's also -5536. Sometimes it comes up -5669, and I have no idea why. It's also written as 341 Millbridge Road, Clementon, New Jersey, 08021, even though I live on Millbrook Court. I'm still having complications with the address to my apartment. I have gone to the local Gloucester Township Police Department for that matter. I have never spoken to Chief Harkins, who attends these meetings. I've never spoken to him on that matter, either outside this door or in the police municipality. Well, is today still June the 10th, 2024?
Yes, it is.
The workshop earlier was closed
It was canceled.
and the redevelopment entity meeting?
Yes, it was canceled.
While waiting outside of the municipal building, see, there's 3 exits out of the parking lot for this municipality and the police annex. Is that correct? One on the
I don't count exits, but I guess one here.
vehicle exits from this lot. There's 3.
Okay.
There's one at Hyder Lane and Shoes Landing Road, and then there's 2 more located on Shoes Landing Road. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, well, the middle exit out of the parking lot for this municipality There's a small island type of concrete slab. It has on it what appears to be a covered grate. I don't know what it used to hold. There seems to be several other located throughout the property that I did notice. It appears to have water inside of it. I don't know if it's a type of well or if it's a type of sewage. The squares of concrete that protect things from going in or coming out of it are broken. I placed a rock over the one and I placed a water bottle inside of the other. There was two of the section of the colander type of contraption that it is. Like I said, it seemed to be sealed with concrete. Two of them were broken. Someone dropped their keys in there, they wouldn't be able to get them out, and it appears to be sealed. Or if a child was walking and tripped. I don't think a child could necessarily fall inside of that, but kids do like to put things into holes. Especially when they hear water at the bottom. So anything that you don't want in there, it seems that that's why it was sealed. That's located right here on this property. How would you identify that section?
Mr. Cardis, can you have Public Works take a look at that section? Is there anything else, Ms. Smith?
No.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Ms. Coyne.
Denise Coyne, Choose Landing. Can I ask why you pulled what resolution 194?
That was placed on a previous agenda, so it's a duplicate.
Okay, so it was already approved.
Correct.
Okay. Back in February, there was an amended lease agreement that was approved with Central Jersey Waste and Recycling. Can somebody tell us what our relationship is with them?
Yes, they're our trash haulers. They pick up your trash.
I thought that was Interstate Waste Solutions.
Name change, correct, Mr. Cardis?
I believe it started as Solterra, then it became Interstate or Central, and now it changed ownership.
So who did we sign an agreement with?
Would have been, I believe, Solterra. I'll defer to Mr. Carliner.
I don't recall, but if they merged with other companies and changed the names, or your lease would still stay with them, the same entities providing the service. They just merged with other companies.
So our trash contractor is Central Jersey. Correct?
Mr. Cardis?
Whomever is picking up the trash, yeah. I mean, there's nothing changed with regard to the services, the pricing, everything's the same as it was when it was bid.
Okay, but it's Central Jersey. That's why we have this amended lease with Central Jersey. They're our trash contractor.
That very well may be. I don't have that in front of me.
Okay, and the property lease is being changed from 905 Hickstown Road and 1729 Ariel Road. That's Public Works, is it not?
That is.
Okay, so the lease changed the leasing rights from those two addresses to 71 Landing Road. 71 Landing Road is a building. It's not an address. It's just a building. There is no tax record for 71 Landing Road. I was told 71 Landing Road is actually 401 Landing Road. So are we leasing only the building and not the land?
Mr. Cardis?
Yeah, I'm not.
Is that the lease, they changed the location where their
Oh,
vehicles?
that's exactly.
They were
right.
staging the vehicles.
Where they were staging the vehicles, it went from the
Hickstown.
old Public Works building to what I refer to as the old MUA.
Correct. That's what that lease is.
Right.
So is it the building or the property or both?
It is the building. They're leasing area within the building so that they can do routine maintenance on some of the trucks.
Inside the building?
Correct.
Okay.
Inside a garage area.
All right, because they were using the garage at Public Works, correct?
That's correct.
So they're no longer using the garage at Public Works.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, and isn't it commonplace when you have a resolution for a lease to put the block and lot number on the resolution?
Mr. Carl.
It's probably on the lease agreement, if I had that information, but as long as that proper address and it's identified, it could be in the resolution. It's not a detriment if it's not there.
Okay, and my last question, does Mount Construction have a lease with the township for using 351 Landing Road?
They've been asked to vacate, from my understanding, and that was months ago.
But they've been there for years.
That's correct. They were there under a lease agreement with the old MUA, GTMUA. Then they were asked to vacate and terminate their lease. It just took them time to move their storage vehicles out of there, which township permitted them to do that.
So they were paying rent to the MUA.
That's correct.
So for the agendas that listed 351 for public auction, it said the purpose of the township wanting to do that was to restore that property to the tax rolls. So if we don't sell that property, can we continue leasing to Mount? That's income from the Mount to the township, is it not?
I guess the township will make that decision if for some reason it does not sell.
Does anybody know how much they paid to lease the property from the MUA?
I can tell you that the original lease amount was very favorable to them. Very favorable. And then that was amended over the last year, Mr. Cars, correct? Their monthly rent, would you like to share that?
I don't recall the specific number, I believe. I don't want to throw a number. Because
Okay.
I believe it was under, it was in the low, it was close to 2,000 maybe, or 1,000 a month.
Yes, and then that was amended once the MUA was dissolved.
Correct, we did move that number up.
So, thank you, Ms. Quinn. Ms. Hendry. Tom, you can provide that lease amount that they were paying to us. We appreciate it.
Good evening, Dina Hendry Sourdale. Last meeting, I had asked if the team knew that the desire to sell the MUA, and you stated that there wasn't a meeting yet. Has there been a meeting for the team?
Ms. Cars.
I'm lost by the question.
She's referring to the employees of the sewer utility. Yeah, are you going, is there a
No,
meeting?
Since you brought that up.
Yeah.
Was there was there a meeting?
Correct.
No, there was not.
Okay, so maybe it works a little bit differently with the sewer company, but I know I'm in the apartment industry, and if we were gonna sell a property, and most likely those employees would be out of a job, we would have a meeting with the team to let them know what our intentions are. Hey, we're gonna put this property up for sale, and we don't know if the current owners, if it goes to sale, would keep you or not. So we prepare them. How can the team, the MUA, effectively do their responsibilities if there is not clear communication of what could happen? I mean, that's not good leadership.
Are you referring to the GTMUA?
Yes.
The sewer utility.
Are you referring to when it was GTMUA?
Or who they're working for now. So those 30 out people, there has no been communication with them to let them know what your desire is. So whoever is their leader, whoever is that leadership role, should have a meeting with them to let them know, hey, come November, there is a chance that you may be out of a job. We don't know what's going to happen. For them to just do their work day in and day out and not have an idea and to be in the dark is not fair. All of you are in roles and in employment. Wouldn't you want your leader, your boss, to communicate with you to say, hey, this is what is going to happen, or this is what could happen? For nothing to happen and to have crickets and to be radio silent is complete disrespect to the people who work in this township. So when will a meeting take place?
First off, it's exploratory.
I understand such things, just like,
Potential sale, and if it did sell, if it did get voted on in favor on the referendum in November, nothing would change at that point. The change would not occur until sometime mid to late 2025.
Understood, but
Then we would have more knowledge about what's going on rather than speculate and throw things out there that may not in fact be true.
okay, but what I'm saying is, once leadership says, hey, listen, we're gonna put a property up for sale. It may go up for sale, we may take it off the market. We let the team know, we have clear transparency. There is no transparency, and that's not fair.
I disagree with the timing. I think the timing of it is when that referendum goes on and when and if the voters and the taxpayers in Gloucester Township decide whether or not they want to sell the sewer system. Or
We can
they
do,
may decide they wanna
we can agree to disagree. I'm saying,
disagree with it.
you're within your right. What I'm saying, if I was leading the team, I would have a meeting with them to say, listen, council just voted to have the desire for bids. Just want to let you know. Like, what's the harm of saying that? You owe them that. The leadership of the MUA owes them that. And you're not giving it to them. And that's disrespectful to the people of this township, not only the workers, but the residents. So can you think about having a meeting? So therefore it's transparent. So therefore they're not walking on eggshells.
I would advise not, because you don't have the specifics of the plan. And that will come about when you know that you are or you are not.
Are you the leader of the MUA?
Am I the leader of the MUA?
Are you leader of the sewer
There
utility?
is no MUA.
Okay, are you the leader of the sewer utility?
I'm the director of sewer utility. I'm the business administrator.
Okay, so then I would ask that person, that director of the sewer utility, to please have a meeting with them. It's not nice and it's not fair.
Again,
Can I make a
relax
comment?
specifics.
As a former union president, what I would have done is I would have had the shop steward call and request a meeting to find out what's going on. That's what I would have done. It's not our responsibility. I always took it on as the union. It was the union's responsibility to find out what was going on and request a meeting with management to find out information. And that's what I'd suggest that they do.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Yes, Mr. Delarge, you'll be our last speaker.
Good evening, Council. John Delargy, 28 Cedar Creek Drive in Laurel Springs. Ton of construction's been going on through Glen Oaks over the last year. Right now, Cedar Creek Drive, where I live on, right now, I think I'm on a speedway, the Autobahn. People are like qualifying for NASCAR on this. Same thing going down Lincoln Drive. Pioneer, South Jersey Gas, the water company, everybody's been in there tearing up the roads. Mainly Lincoln Drive, we used to have 25-mile-an-hour speed limit actually painted in the road. That's been paved over. All right, we never had one on Cedar Creek. If we could do something to slow down these drivers, we have kids in the streets. We did have police presence there last year for a good day. And I noticed that within 1 hour of me coming home from work, 4 speeders were pulled over. All right, I know we can't control them all. Police can't be everywhere. But I mean, we got our kids out there. My grandson plays out there. We have to do something to slow down these cars.
John, as you were talking, the chief was taking down your information, your
Yeah,
address.
John, again, I'll talk to you after, if you're still here, if not, we'll get in touch with you and get as much detailed times, things like that, and we'll get.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great evening. That concludes our second public portion.
See you all soon.
Polling directors,
Mr. Burley,
nothing to report.
Mr. Curtis,
Nothing at this time.
Chief Harkins.
Just a couple things to report. First, Mrs. Albright Troxel, what happened at Blackwood Lake back when Hurricane Sandy hit, wiped out that whole inside of everything because it's in a floodplain. So that's what happened there. Regarding Millbridge Apartments, Police department has no control over the addressing. We have no problem with 911. It's all set statewide to the PSAP, so we've never had any problem responding there. So I can speak for the emergency services that's never really been an issue for us with the addressing. I want to just inform council a couple things. We're aware of concerns about EMS from a post that went out from the IAFF Local 3249. I think it was on Sunday, and I checked right away with our emergency management coordinator, SWAC, when I became aware of the social media post. The social media post, as I read it, was just saying how busy they were. There was a high call volume for EMS and some crashes and things. Inspira was fully staffed. We had 3 ambulances and a supervisor working. It doesn't take much to take up 3 ambulances if you have multiple people in a car crash for transports. So the mutual aid plan, which is done every single day, our EMS is constantly even going to other towns, helping each other. And so there was no concern. They were within normal operating parameters, calling for the mutual aid. But I believe some of the posts that were, or comments were taking it in a direction. So I just want to let council know, we looked into that. There are procedures in place that if there is an EMS shortage, they have to notify us, both the Camden County Alarm Room and Inspira and whatnot. We have procedures, some tripwire things to notify us if there's an issue. Speaking, I'll get to Gloucester Township Day, but to say that evening, Inspira, enacted their emergency plan. They had normal EMS services. We had them pre-positioned here just for a normal Gloucester Township, and even they moved up additional resources out of their location in Millville. So there was actually 6 ambulances in Gloucester Township ready to go, plus countywide enacted an EMS task force, it's called, which draws resources from all across the county for EMS services. Gloucester Township Day obviously was a night like we haven't seen. We had more officers on duty that night than we typically did. This is not a phenomenon that as we're seeing, because Saturday night, Pennsauken had to cancel their fireworks. We sent officers, a contingent of officers of mutual aid up to Pennsauken. They canceled their event. We're seeing the same types of behaviors that was seen here in Gloucester Township. Again, we're very good at handling the kids and things like that, and the issues that we run into. But this was different with the type of people that came. I appreciate the words of support from not only council members that have reached out to me. I know Mr. Polidoro, I appreciate his comments and reaching out, but just so many other people that have reached out. And there's literally, we're still going through hundreds of hours of surveillance, body cam video. It went on, and the amount of people that came through ride shares and drop-offs was very difficult for us, because we were moving along. You just couldn't take them anywhere. And it was a decision that we made to put them in that parking lot and try and handle them there instead of chasing them through Glen Oaks or Rosegate and things like that. But the officers all responded. I couldn't be prouder of all of them, both the mutual aid that we received, that plan. We had a plan in place. We enacted it very early before we had serious problems, so that we had even more officers, but it just continued to, the hostilities that the officers endured, the things that were said to them, the fights that were happening right in front of us, even as we tried to interact. And I watched officers jump in middle of a crowd to break up a fight and stop someone from getting seriously hurt. As you heard, we've identified, we made actually 17 arrests that night as we calculated, just the fog of the battle that was going on. We were releasing people and getting them. We made 17 arrests that night. By far, only 3 of the people that we arrested were from Gloucester Township. The rest were from outside the area. We have since made additional arrests. Even some of the arrests that we made that night, charges have been upgraded as we watch and go through surveillance and body cam video. We're determined on it as best that we can to hold people accountable. And we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to put out as we get evidence. We've had many people reach out to us and give us information, and we appreciate that, and some of the plans that we had to gather evidence. So, but moving forward, the mayor was very supportive. He was at the command post the entire time during the incident. We were communicating, and we immediately had meetings this week. Mr. Cardis was part of, and the scholarship committee. And I gave my input on it is that listen, we've had this. I think it was the 41st year, and I came to the very first one as a teenager. I had friends that lived on Cedar Creek, and I remember when we had it. So through 29 years as a cop, I've worked many of these, and it's very clear to me we should not let them determine how we live and do things. So I'm in favor of having a Gloucester Township Day. Again, I don't like to let thugs like that take charge and win over our community. Whether we make changes or not, times and things like that, we're discussing, but we have to. This is such a great event for the scholarship committee. So much planning is put into that. People like Debbie Carr and Dick Hollinshead that put their time and effort, and the whole committee. I just mentioned those two. We can't let these other people determine how we're going to do and live here. So we're determined to continue to keep our traditions going. We may have to change it. We're looking at all different things. I can tell you that this trend is it's not held to Gloucester Township, and even some of the comments that I see the township getting trashed or that totally inappropriate, totally uncalled for. The people that came here to cause that disturbance, it was organized through TikTok, organized through social media. It's very hard to monitor that stuff, but we're working. Assemblyman Hutchinson's office, I spoke to Senator Moriarty immediately, and there's a bill that's being developed with the support of New Jersey State Chiefs, because it's happening all throughout the state and the region for enhanced penalties. And I'm working, and the mayor is working with that to try and come up with some solutions to hold people accountable. So I just want to give the word encouragement. It was, yes, this negativity happened here, but it was a very proud day for the police department. Our plans, no one was seriously injured. And we're going to continue to find out what else we can do. And we're not going to let them get away. Everything that we can do to hold people accountable, we're going to do. So if council has any questions about any specifics, please, I'm here. If you'd like to contact me later, I just wanted to let you know and thought you would need that update as to where we're going and what we're doing. The officers are all doing well, not seriously injured. We're very lucky that we didn't have more serious injuries with the fights that we were witnessing there. So, okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief.
Mr. McGill?
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Mr. Minio?
So this Friday night, we have our last Field of Dreams game. It's on the schedule anyways. Our last Field of Dreams, or maybe a possibility of making up a game or two. I want to thank all the coaches, the volunteers, the buddies, the players, the parents. It's been a great season. It's amazing how fast 9 weeks goes by when you have your season, from the time we plan it to the time it's finished. It's great. It's a great opportunity for everybody to play the game of baseball. I also want to say, Chief, I'll echo some words. GT Day. It's our biggest fundraiser for the scholarships committee for the students of Gloucester Township. And it's unfortunate that some knuckleheads did decide to come into this township and try to ruin it. And there's no doubt, I feel 100% confident that we will be able to adapt and flex to this. It's unfortunate. And, how's the saying go? Mess around and you'll find out, even though I never word with mess around, another 4-letter word. But one thing, I was talking to a police officer this Saturday, like I said, this Saturday, and the comments that him and I were talking, and he said the police, what they did, not only just the police officers, but the specials. He was extremely impressed by the specials and how they just immediately jumped in and took action. So kudos to them, kudos to the GT, everybody in GT. Everywhere I go, people want to talk about it, and I'm extremely proud of our police. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great night, a great week.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
I want to reiterate exactly what you said. I was at the Gloucester Township Day in the afternoon, from like 3 to 6. And I was talking to the police. And I got the impression that the police were prepared in case something happened. About the teenagers, they sort of, they knew. So preparation is everything. And I'm very proud of what you did. I really am. I live right down the street and I heard all the sirens and I thought, boy, those drones are really popular. Found out later on that it wasn't the drones at all. It was a bunch of thugs that decided to try and ruin our day. But thank God that you said that we are going to continue it because it is a vital part of our township to give those scholarships to the kids in our town and to have Gloucester Township Day as a community day for everyone. So I'm very happy about that. And I also went to the farmer's market and I have to tell you, I had the best Jersey tomatoes from that farmer's market that I have had in years. They were, I believe they were organic and they were so good and their peaches just, well, if you get a sloppy chin when you're eating a peach, you know that it's a good peach. And I bought a half a dozen of them for myself and I think I might have one or two left. But, so if you get a chance, go to the farmer's market on Thursday. It's a good event to go to. And thank you all for coming and thank you for all your comments.
Mrs. Grace Love.
Yeah, I want to echo the same comments, and that we celebrate traditions and that we should never let anyone step in front of our traditions, and put fear in front of that. So I want to thank the police department for your hard work. I was out in June, Gloucester Township Day earlier, than Ms. Troxel. And so I left a little earlier. So when I heard of the incident, I was concerned, but I remember being there earlier and seeing all the officers out, very friendly and doing what they always do, you know, always putting people first and not, you know, mishandling anyone. So I really appreciate how professional our department has always been and continue to be in any incident that they have, and show a lot of care and concern, even though they do still have a tough job to do and you have to lay down the law. And I'm glad that that is happening because you think twice before you come in Gloucester Township, and ruining anything that we celebrate and enjoy. This Saturday, we'll have our first Juneteenth celebration. I will be there, and it's a very similar event to 4th of July and any other holiday that we celebrate. And I'm glad that we're going to continue with those things as well. It's a new event for us, but again, I'm glad that our officers are there and keep us safe. And I am also 100% confident that we're going to be there enjoying ourselves, having a good time, and our officers are going to be there to serve and protect us like they always do. Thank you again and have a great night.
Carolyn, that's from 1 to 4, correct? The time
It
has
is.
changed from 1 to 4.
Yes.
Mr. Nash.
Because same thing, Chief, want to reiterate, you guys firsthand were excellent. I have no doubt that you're going to continue to provide the protection to the township that you have. So thank you to you and all your officers, and thanks for coming out.
Mrs. Walters.
I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank everybody for their comments and their concerns, that we can make our neighborhoods and our areas safer. I want to thank the chief. Again, I was up there that night. The leadership that you had showed demonstrates what a police officer is and what a chief is to everybody. And the characteristics that your police officer showed, the not giving in to them, the other ones fighting when you guys were obviously outnumbered, but the controlled chaos, as I call it, you handled with no fear, and it was impeccable. So I appreciate all that you do, and I hope all your officers stay safe. And I thank you for continuing looking into those who did cause some of the chaos and disruption, because instead of just letting it go. So I appreciate it. And everyone have a good night.
Mrs. Winters.
I too wanted to make the comments made by one of the council members. Thanks to the chief, to all the men and women of the police force. They do an amazing job keeping everyone safe in this town. I was not at the DT event, but everything I heard was positive about the police and the way that it was handled by our township. So thank you to everyone and have a great night.
Mr. Mercado?
I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Terry stole all my stuff. You know, that's all right. The chief was in the midst of it because I was next to Jim, and I see the chief in the middle of all of this stuff. And as Tara said, leadership starts at the top. And he wouldn't ask anyone to do anything that he wouldn't do, as he was in the middle of this. So thank you very much, Chief. And your leadership resonates and trickles down to the rest of your staff. I want to thank the Gloucester Township Scholarship Committee for putting that event on. It was a beautiful event. Scholarships were provided that day. There was music, and people enjoyed the day. It was marred by some bad actors. And one of the disheartening things that I saw online as people shared videos and mischaracterize our town and talk about, no, we should only just be for Gloucester Township residents. We've always been an open community. That's saying, like, if something happens in Wildwood or Ocean City, we're not allowed to go to Wildwood, Ocean City, because we're not from there. But we will get better. We will figure out this. We're not immune to this, as we saw in Ocean City, Wildwood, Pennsauken, and we will move on from this. And we'll have an event this Saturday. It'll be a wonderful event celebrating Juneteenth. For those who don't know about it, explain what it is and how it came about. So I want to thank for those people that organized it, those who worked at Gloucester Township Day, our police, public works, and the committee. The Scholarship Committee spends the entire year working on that. I organized the 5K. That's my kind of involvement with it, but there are folks that their heart and soul were into this for that committee, and this hurt. That hurt that night. But we'll move forward from it. So I want to thank everyone for their work that day. Again, Juneteenth is this Saturday. June 14th, movie night this Saturday. Trolls. It's going to be in the park. It starts at dusk, so probably like 10 of 9. So if you want to, please enjoy that movie night that we have. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye. Have a great evening, everyone.
How are you? Graduate. Got a graduate. Who would have thought, right? Oh, man, you're graduating.